Like, what are we doing?
Corey Graves, the ignorant slut. Cannot pronounce the word coup de grace. He says coup de grace.
Welcome back to This is a Takeover. My name is David Hensley. I'm the owner and creative director of Long Walk Productions, and I am here to introduce your host, Shelby Death Ray Patterson.
Thank you, David, and welcome to This is a Takeover. I'm Shelby Ray Patterson.
And I'm Gina Bradford.
And today we're here talking about NXT Battleground. But first off, Gina, I really want to start this episode off with a What Are You Drinking segment.
Yeah.
Just so everybody can know the story that happened just right before we hit record. So can you tell the audience what happened?
I can. If gentle listeners, you didn't know, I am diagnosed with ADHD, and I am a little out of it as of late. And this manifested with this exact moment. Shelby was like, "Hey, don't know what to bring," so I was looking for some stuff in my house. And then I recalled that my lovely husband bought me a 2 liter, or just a liter, sorry.
Liter and a half.
A liter and a half of the Behringer wine that is lovely, delicious. And I, throughout this week, forgot that certain alcohols don't freeze.
So
I did not, I thought wine is alcohol. So it will not freeze.
It is alcohol. You're right. And most of the time we do this when we first get a bottle. If you get it from the store, you can put it in the freezer,
Yep.
And chill it for like 30 minutes.
And I was trying to speed, but time is hard.
And days went by.
And I was like, oh yeah, I have that bottle of Behringer. And I was like, okay, I'm going to bring this completely solid bottle of Behringer.
And she did. I walked into the studio, y'all, to a popsicle of a bottle where it was completely solid on the inside.
Now it looks like there's a little iceberg in there.
It's actually quite nice. It's making it really chill.
It is very chilled and it's very nice. David, lovely producer David, informed me that 45 proof alcohol is above that is what freezes.
That's why you can put like liquor in the freezer and have it stay in there and it's fine.
Yeah, I learned a lesson today, friends. The wine is wine and we're good. And we ran it under the sink for a little bit. And now we are both going to be enjoying Behringer's Main and Vine Chardonnay.
Well, and I feel like, you know how you have those canisters that at restaurants or at pools or whatever they can give you to keep the wine in. Yeah. It's like that, but on the inside.
Yes, this is just on the inside.
Right.
It's much less mess.
Sure.
And it's still chilly. Like that's a trend right now on the on the Instagram where they like make those molds and they put flowers.
See,
in the ice
that's
molds.
too much work
That's
for
a lot
me.
of effort.
Just for it to melt.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't do that. But I wanted to start the episode off with that just because I thought it was so funny. It was. Because I walked in. And it's very on brand for us, I think, to have start it with a drinking segment.
But not only that, but it's okay, here's the problem. We're going to fix this because wine.
Right.
we're going to make this work.
We have to have it for this show. That's what we've built our brand on.
We don't even have our wine yet. What are we I don't know what I was doing apparently. It was failing.
Oh gosh. Well, okay. Do you want to get started with this?
Tally ho.
Because I have thoughts on this entire show. I enjoyed it.
Yes.
I thought it was a really good show. I thought it was a show that helps further some stories, but I had some issues technically with it.
I had a couple of things that I wrote down as well. Listeners, we did not watch it together, so we both have our own set of separate notes. And
that's a change.
I mean, honestly, I have most of the time I recall from memory, but I did not trust myself this time.
My memory is so bad, so I have to write everything down. But I kind of just wanted to start with the host of it all.
Yeah, I didn't even write that down.
We had a host and I say host in like really loose terms because with these NXT takeovers, most of the time, there is a host, like someone who is especially like one of the bigger ones.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that this one was a particularly big one. This was kind of one of their B shows because they have so many now.
Yeah.
So I don't really know the inside scoop about this person.
I have no idea.
I will say I've never felt so old in my life watching her on screen because I had no idea who she was.
Not a clue.
And why everybody was like freaking out that she was there.
And I even had another moment where they started playing her music and I went, oh dear God, I don't like this. And I was like, oh, I've reached it. This is the pinnacle. I can now coastal grandma. I've officially reached it. I now have my reason.
I could feel the wrinkles starting to form on my face while I was watching because the person who is the host, her name is Sexy Red.
Yeah.
Sexy with 2 X's. And I was not familiar with her music or her as a person. I found out, I don't know if you know this or not.
Probably not.
But I found out that this after the show, before the show, this girl got arrested for starting a fight in an airport because somebody wanted to take her photo without her permission. Now, granted, I feel like that's a legitimate excuse to start an argument, right? Like if someone is coming up to you and you don't want them to take your picture, I can understand why you would feel uncomfortable and get frustrated, especially if you're at the airport and now
you're trying to get somewhere.
Nowadays, we're all in our pajamas on airplanes, you know, so like no one is really dressing up anymore to get on planes. So she's not looking like 100%, right? Because you're traveling. Homegirl gets arrested, not just for starting the fight, but she picks up one of those like poles that have like this when you're standing in the security line. You know those poles that have the.
You mean the barriers?
Yes. She picks up one of those and is seen on camera running towards somebody and like throws it. Like it looks like she kind of drops it, but like
those things are surprisingly heavy.
They are, and it landed on a dude's foot.
I was gonna say that took a lot of effort on her part because stanchions are not light.
Yeah, like it's. I really don't. I don't know why it escalated to picking up a stanchion and just being like, "I'm gonna run at you with this,
beat you."
And apparently, she broke their phones.
Oh my!
Yeah, because she gets let out of jail, or she post bail, and sends out this message on TikTok being like apologetic and saying that whoever's phones I destroyed, please DM me and I'll get you another phone.
How can they?
It's a really good point. I don't know. But yeah, this all happened pre-Battleground.
Oh my gosh, that makes that 20 times funnier.
Yeah. So you're going
gosh.
into doing this, right? And apparently this doesn't stop WWE from having her host the show.
No.
But she opens the show and we're in the UFC Apex.
Yes.
Right? Which is in Las Vegas. And it's supposed to be, I'm not going to claim that I know anything about UFC at all or MMA. I've seen a few fights. My sister likes to watch it, so I've watched it with her before.
Everything I've seen is a big fight that everyone's been excited about, and then they hit one punch and then they're dead.
Like the Ronda Rousey fight. Yeah, that you stay up till like 1 a.m.
Yeah,
and
you wait and you're like, okay, I guess I'm
like
watching
3
this,
seconds.
and then it's like, bam.
Yeah.
Yeah, 6 years later, Katie and I are still bitter about that night we spent in Buffalo Wild Wings watching Ronda Rousey get her ass kicked.
That's how I know about that story, because you guys are still pissed about it.
The next one is on Netflix. So
there you go. You won't have to go to Buffalo Wild Wings for that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just she starts the show off and we're in like this UFC. It looks like the Performance Center.
Yeah.
But for
Octagonal.
MMA.
Yeah.
And to me, it just didn't seem as impressive as they touted it to be. Like, they touted it like for weeks of being like, this is monumental and we're doing it at this UFC place and it's going to be like the Octagon and all this stuff. And really what it was just a smaller, more compact version of what they normally are in.
And the other thing that caught my attention was that some of the main front spots were not filled.
Yeah.
Like, audience members were not there. And I was like, you couldn't have brought people down from the back to fill those?
Well, and yeah, I agree. And the crowd was dead. So it seemed like what it seemed like to me is that you had half of them that were WWE fans.
Yeah.
Right? Who were wanting to be there. Mm-hmm. And then you had the other half that was either actual MMA fighters that they showcased throughout the show.
And they did. And they looked just as thrilled to be there
they
as you would expect.
So confused. They were like, they told us that we needed to be here.
We don't know
and
why.
We showed up and I have no idea what this is. Or UFC fans, like MMA fans that probably go to stuff at this place all the time.
Yeah.
It's like when you have season ticket holders at a theater.
Yes.
Right? And they have the classics that come through and that's why people buy
They're
it.
For
and
carousel
and then you have that one show that comes in that these season ticket holders go and see and they're like, what the hell is this?
This is the avant-garde. This is the,
like you have the Curious Incident Dog in the Nighttime, right?
Like the very in-depth.
Smelling your farts theater.
Exactly. Right. So you just kind of they're there and they're sitting and they're enjoying in quotation marks like everything that's going on because they bought season tickets for this, right? So we're gonna go to it. But they're gonna have a good time. But they're not understanding anything that's going on. And so that's kind of the vibe that I got from this crowd because there were moments during
this whole show, honestly,
that should have been really high intensity moments that just did not land.
Yes.
At all. And so with the sexy red of it all, and all she does is like, welcome to NXT Battleground. I'm a twerk for you.
Yeah.
And we're just like watching her twerk. And I'm just like, I'm confused. Do you know why you're here? Because I don't know why you're here.
I was very confused.
And she's been on TV
for a little bit with them
on NXT TV for a while, not a while, but just like a little bit, like introducing.
Like, is she wanting to wrestle? Like, I don't know.
After the fight at the airport, maybe.
I was about to say that got her some street cred, I'm sure.
I mean, golly.
Now that's the rumor going around now. It's like, oh, is this all a work? Like, is she trying? Is she trying to spread something? I'm like, absolutely not.
No.
This girl does not seem.
From what I have seen, I doubt it. But you know what? Who knows?
And honestly, that's really all that she did.
Yeah.
Like she
had a couple of spots in the back,
backstage a couple of times, and made people twerk.
Yeah.
During those backstage segments, which I'm like,
and then put her whole hand on someone's butt.
Yes,
that I felt uncomfortable.
She looked like she was uncomfortable when it happened.
I was like, consent.
Well, and again, maybe this is just something that I'm missing, and maybe she's like super. It's like a Bad Bunny situation where like everyone loves them, and
I miss Bad Bunny,
and it's we're missing something here, but it just did not land with me.
Yeah.
It felt very out of place, especially for the NXT that we are starting to be again. This doesn't seem like this seems like 2.0.
Yes,
not like the era that we're in now.
Yes, agreed.
But yeah, so that's how she opened it, was just like, hey, welcome, look at my butt. And I'm like, okay, that's
do
cool.
The splits and then like twerk.
But like, so I'm not going to say any more about it just because that's pretty much all it is.
It kind of was that, moment, and it kind of went through the rest of this pay-per-view.
Yeah, because it cut really awkward too. We're like, okay, now we're going to cut to the intro.
Anyways.
Yeah. So we start off the show with the ladder match for the new Women's North American Championship.
Yay!
Which I was so excited about this match going in.
Yes.
Because we had Sol Roca, Lash Legend, Fallon Henley, Jada Parker, Michin, and Kalani Jordan.
Yes.
And to me, if you're going to build a mid-card, like those are the people. It made sense. Like everybody who was there, you had Michin, who was Mia Yim.
Yeah.
Who, if you guys are familiar with her previous NXT days, she championed ladder matches for women.
Yes.
Like she was the one who really kind of set the bar for what those are supposed to look like. And so having her in this match totally makes sense.
Yes.
There really wasn't anybody that was in it that didn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I feel like a certain way about like Fallon Henley and Jada Parker. Like I think their characters need a little more development.
Yeah.
But I see now with the entrance for Jada Parker, because I actually wrote that down, it's Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, now I'm understanding a little bit more. That's making sense. But I didn't know enough about her. And I know Fallon's trying out this new, bad girl routine.
I like it. And it's working for me. With Jada, it's interesting because she started out, it was the two guys that they were trying to push.
Yeah, that's right.
And then she was in the background, and then it switched.
Yes.
Because she ended up being better than those guys. And then they were like, actually, you guys are going to be her backup now, which I thought was pretty cool.
Up. But I will say, though, really quickly, I feel like I'm going to have a fashion plate moment. Fallon Henley's outfit was so cool.
Oh, I loved it.
And so put together. Like the back of her boots had the cow strip going down, and I don't know, I appreciate little details and things like that, and I don't know, it just stuck out to me.
Oh yeah.
And I just thought it was
compared to everybody else
pretty.
Yeah.
Like I was surprised that Michin was so subdued. And I'm not saying this is like going to be like a fashion segment, but it was so detailed and character driven that it kind of made everybody else like I didn't see anybody else. I was watching Fallon a lot. I agree because of that.
Yeah, she put a lot of effort into it, and it feels like it was Vegas. It was cowgirl.
Yes.
It made sense.
It was Vegas.
Yeah,
Vegas cowgirl showgirl kind of.
I know Kalani had Vegas inspired gear as well.
I started to notice that later. Like she had like the chips, and she had like the 777 across the top of her outfit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I felt like this was one of the matches that the crowd really impacted it.
Yes.
Because I feel like there was so much action going on in the ring.
They came to bat.
No, they did.
Were ready. The energy was there.
Yeah, they were giving it, and the crowd was just kind of sitting there like they were watching a theater performance, which it kind of made me mad just a little bit, because I'm like, they are doing all of the work.
They are doing so much work.
Right?
I mean, Jada Parker good Lord, she took some serious bumps. Like Lash Legend on that freaking ladder spot. Like there were a lot of great spots, and it was crickets.
There was like an occasional this is awesome chant that was trying to get started.
It felt for the first time in a while put in through the system.
I feel like that one,
I think,
might not have been just because it was so soft. If it was put in, it would have been a lot louder.
Oh, that's true.
Because it was very faint. Like it started from the back of the audience and was trying to get through, and it just couldn't. But I feel like the outcome of this was super surprising, and I did not. I had Lash winning this.
Absolutely. They've been pushing her.
To me, it made the most sense, but I feel like Kalani is the best performer out of all of them.
And I will say I'm a little pissed for her because that finish was lackluster. That finish sucked. And I don't even remember who it was, but dang.
It was, they had a ladder set up in the corner, and she did a split-legged moonsault onto Michin. And
that's extra.
Michin was on the ladder. And so she did the moonsault onto her, and then she just climbed up and got the briefcase. It wasn't like
she just annihilated her or anything.
Yeah, it wasn't one of those spots that felt like, oh, this clears the ring.
And to have it on Michin too.
Nobody is around, and I'm looking around, I'm checking.
Yeah.
She just went up there.
Yeah.
Like she didn't even look.
I think to be fair though, I think I would have been more pissed if she was like, and took her time and then no one actually did, because my brain would have been like, who was supposed to go up there?
Well, everybody was already dead.
I know. And oh my gosh.
Because you had like Lash had her spot. And,
oh my gosh. That ladder spot.
Rightfully so, after that ladder spot, she pieced out and she was like, I'm donezo. And I'm like, that's fair, girl. Like I would be too.
Yeah.
And then you had, I think it was Sol Roca does her finisher, which I love the name of it. It's called the Soul Snatcher.
Her move is awesome, but that's all I feel about her.
Yeah.
And I've talked about that before, but it's like...
And that's fine right now,
I think.
Yes. People really like her, though.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard she's very nice, very cool. Like, she has great athleticism. Mm-hmm. I'm interested to see more character, but... So
her finisher, the Soul Snatcher, is literally... She does a backflip into an RKO.
It's insane. Like, and she did it back to back in this match.
She did it off the corner.
Yep.
And then she did it off of the ladder. Like turns around and does it off the ladder onto a different person.
Robert out loud went, holy crap.
It's cool. It's a cool spot.
It is a really cool spot.
And I feel...
She doesn't even look.
Yeah.
She just does it.
It's like
a
EO. EO's moonsault. It's like she never looks.
Be there or not.
And I feel like going back and watching this, like I can kind of maybe dissect it and make a little bit more, but I had a lot of fun.
It was. I had it as a 4 Regal.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really great pacing.
Kalani wins after taking out Michin, and she is the first ever women's North American champion.
And she's so cute, and she got a "You Deserve It."
She did.
And I was like, good for you, babe. Good for you.
It's interesting though, because we can get into this too when we talk about Roxanne and Jordan. There's a lot of talk about how this TNA crossover is going to work, and I feel like this belt could really be useful in that crossover.
Oh yeah,
because
yeah.
If you think about it, there's a lot of other women that could also benefit from being in this title picture. And I think I would be interested to see like if Kalani could go over to TNA and like maybe start something over there.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot after this show that can open up to doing a lot more storylines with them. Definitely. I heard it be put, because everybody talks about the Forbidden Door, like with AEW, like that's their whole thing. And Triple H was quoted at a press conference being like, I don't really know what the Forbidden Door is. Like we don't really acknowledge that here. Like we kind of we feel like that's not a thing. And so everyone, when they talk about the TNA, like back and forth, they call it the prohibited portal instead of the forbidden door. And I think it's hilarious.
Hunter, come on.
No, he didn't come up with that. Fans came up with that.
No, I'm saying for Hunter, like, dude, come on. Like,
but we can't acknowledge that we are each other's competition, even though we're doing the same damn thing. But I'm happy for her. I think
yes, she's adorable.
I'm excited that we have a women's mid card now. Like we have something for other women to fight for instead of just waiting for the main title picture.
Honestly, a lot of the times with the North American Championship, like I felt like that was more important, and like I cared more about a lot of those original stories with
100%,
way more than the championship. So I'm excited to see that level come back to this or come to this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gosh, I tried to explain to Robert, because he was like, I don't know Kalani because he doesn't watch as well as we do, and I was like, you remember the girl that Ricochet first dated, who was the American Ninja Warrior? She was small and petite, and she does a lot of that. I was like, she's like that, but she's more gymnastics. And he was like, okay. I was like, there's a lot of gymnastics in here lately. Like, yeah. And they had this segment where they showed all of the different people, and one of them was like a whole cheerleader. Like
a whole cheerleader.
I would honestly say, like, I want to know where these guys are going for recruitment now. Like, they're going everywhere.
NCAA.
That is so freaking smart.
No, I'm pretty sure.
No, that's so freaking smart.
Yeah, what they're going to these, like, collegiate trials and stuff like that. That's how they found Gable Steveson. That's
there
how they
it
found,
is.
that's how they're finding all these people.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but I feel like she is one that it's working.
Yeah.
Like they haven't all worked.
No.
Like Gable Steveson, going back to that, is a prime example, who is now gonna play football. I saw.
I mean,
he literally left WWE, or what? He did not leave on his own accord. He left WWE and is now gonna go play football, which is usually the other way around.
yeah. Truth. You know what? Truth.
But moving on, we have the NXT Tag Team Championship match with Nathan Frazier and Axiom versus the OC.
I wish I gave a crap about Gallows and Anderson.
So I was actually going to say that this is probably the best I've seen them.
Fair.
Because I don't normally like them either, and I can't tell you why I don't like them.
It's because they have this illustrious career. They were a part of the Bullet Club. You know, they've been with so many people. They've worked really well with other people. They were with AJ Styles for a hot minute, and they just continue to be lackeys for me. And it's like, I just, Gallows, the name Gallows is awesome. Mm-hmm. Like, that's so cool. Anderson. I feel like that's an anchor at the bottom of that gallows. I'm just saying, like, dang, like it was there and then it wasn't.
Yeah, and I feel like because both of them were super big in Japan.
Yeah,
and
very, very nice career.
I think what happened during the Vince era a lot was they got all these people, these great people from the Indies and New Japan and, you know, Mexico and everything, and they were these huge stars over there, and then they got brought here, and then we quote unquote didn't know what to do with them and just let them sit. And then people who weren't familiar were never introduced to their accolades that they did before.
Yes.
Right? They were just like, here's this new person that materialized out of nowhere.
And all of their stuff is new. Like, we don't address what happened over there.
It's the same with NXT call-ups. Like, forget everything that you did over here. You are now this new person over here. And when you introduce to a crowd that doesn't know who these people are and you don't tell them who they are, then they're not going to care.
Yes.
And then you're putting a kind of an unfair expectation on these people to build themselves back up after they've done years and years of work already.
Exactly. It's like a whole other mountain to climb.
So I don't...
When they already climbed one.
Exactly. Yeah. And I don't think that that's necessarily their fault.
No.
I do, but I think being able to come down to NXT and do something like this, like, it was very clear that they weren't going to win.
No.
Right? Like, they are not regulars on there.
I think this was my Joker.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Because it was very obvious.
I would have
However,
rioted.
Oh, sure.
I would have been pissed.
However, I feel like they got a really good match out of them.
I feel like there were a couple of spots where I was like, okay, I can clearly see that Axiom and Nathan are a little bit slower to meet them. But I feel like Gallows and Anderson really were trying. Like,
because they're freaking fast.
They are freaking fast.
Like,
and so, like, I get it. I'm just saying, like, but it wasn't like, oh, like they really had to slow down. It was like, hey, like, assess like for half a second and then go. Like, it really wasn't that bad. But that was just me knowing, because Axiom is unbelievably fast. And Nathan Frazier, like, all I see is hair. Like, he gets to the top and it's like, bam, hair. And that's all I see.
He's one of those guys like Braun Breaker that the camera can't keep up with him. So I think they've decided we're never going to cut away from his shot.
That's so true.
Right? Because we're just going to let him run and just let him go.
Yeah.
And then when he's finished, we'll cut to another camera angle.
Yeah.
Right? Because I've noticed that.
If we pan out far enough, we can catch him.
We can get the whole shot. Right? And we'll just save people like an actual headache that they could get from us having to cut so much, like Kevin Dunn style. So I feel like this one was good and it was fine.
Yeah.
It was just kind of predictable. And so not terrible. I didn't hate it.
There was one moment that did make me giggle really hard. In acting, you know, if you get injured, like, you're supposed to remember that injury. My goodness, Axiom, when his left shoulder wasn't going, there was a moment where he physically threw his right arm and was trying to drag him. It was the most camp, beautiful thing. And I was like, that is great. That's what that's how you do it if we're going to be going this way.
It's always the left.
It's always the
You know,
it was the full right all the way back and throw.
I don't know if that was just something that was created in ancient wrestling lore, right? That whatever
Greeks, Romans, help us.
I mean, whatever body part you are selling, it's always the left.
It's always. I think it was like maybe just to be like, hey, like that way we know you're not actually hurt.
That became a running joke, right, with us, that it was that.
Like, oh.
Especially I would see with Finn all the time because he's always very accident prone, right? So like I'm always checking and I'm like, okay, is it the okay, it's the left. We're fine.
Yeah, we're good.
If it's the right, then we're fucked.
Yep.
Like, then we have to reassess. But yeah, I mean, I gave it a 3.5.
Yep.
Nathan and Axiom retain.
Yay.
They had a really cool combined finisher. So it was a Spanish fly into a Phoenix splash.
That was really cool.
Which I enjoy them as a tag team so much.
Yeah.
I mean, I've talked at nauseum about how much I like them as a team, and I just never want them to break up ever.
No, and they're so good together. Like
they can lose the belts, that's fine.
But they'll be
I
fine.
Just don't want them to break up. It's like the New Day.
Yeah.
You know, like you never want to ever see the New Day mad at each other, right?
Dad and dad are fighting.
You don't want to see that, right? No, like, no kid wants to see their dads fighting. Like that's upsetting.
No, we have to. Which little random side note, there was a guy in the front or second row, and he had on this blue button-up shirt that had Big E and like the design for the Bootios, and it was him and the floaty, and I was like, I need that. I need that.
Remember when that was sold in like CD shops?
Gosh.
When that was a thing, like it was FYE or something like that. They had Bootios, like the actual cereal being sold like in the record stores.
It's in the box at least. I don't think they're selling it for eating. But
oh God, I hope not. That thing was discontinued ages ago.
Exactly. But the box is on display at the cereal bar in Rock Hill. So if you want to see it, it's there.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, it's really cute.
But yeah, I enjoyed this. I gave it a 3.5.
Yes.
So this next match.
This was interesting.
Okay, I want your opinion.
I see what was happening.
Yeah, so we have it's the NXT Underground match with Shayna Baszler versus Lola Vice.
Look, y'all, I'm not that old. I'm 30, you know, but why was it so damn dark in the beginning? I was like, who am I looking at? What's happening?
Because Gina, we're in the underground.
I was like, I got that.
It has to be dark.
And then there was one moment where suddenly they were like clearly being told like we can't see shit, and they were like, as slow as possible to not make it obvious. I was like, guys, turn on the damn lights.
So the way that this is set up, they take the ropes and the posts down, and it's just the mat.
And then there's a random bunch of people all around,
and they're all just banging. They're banging on the side,
never in the same tempo. All of them are doing everything like
that's not the point, right? The point is just chaos. So this idea started with Shane McMahon, right?
Oh, I don't want to give him. Just underground in general.
The Raw Underground.
Okay.
During COVID, they were trying to come up with something to fill the third hour of Raw. Instead of getting rid of the third hour of Raw, we came up with something to fill the time, right?
Because that makes sense.
Right. And so it debuted during COVID in 2020, and they touted it as this like gritty, like super raw, competitive, like underground fight club, right? And it was dark, and you had people, basically NXT people, that were the people on ringside. One of the very first episode, if you can squint real hard, you can see Swerve Strickland, like being one of the people banging on the mat. But in like a couple other NXT people that are no longer with WWE anymore. So this idea started there, and basically it's supposed to be like an MMA version of wrestling.
Yes.
So basically worked MMA.
Yes.
Because it still is wrestling. The outcome is still determined, right? So but it is like the only way that you can win is by submission or TKO, and you have to do it on the mat.
Yes.
You are allowed to go outside of the ring and outside of the mat, but you can't win out there, right? So you still have to be on the mat, and it's submission or TKO. Now, these type of matches just don't work for me, because worked MMA, to me, if I am a fan of MMA, I just don't feel like that I would enjoy this, right?
Yeah.
Because if it is real MMA, they are trying to knock each other out.
Yes.
And they are not pulling punches. They are pulling punches here. And it looks so much more fake than wrestling actually does.
I was going to say it's clearly like a lot better with these two like examples than with Ronda. Like you could watch in Ronda's eyes, oh, that was too hard. Oh shoot, let me try that again.
Right.
Like these women, you know, both chose like, okay, this is this pot. Like we're going to go like this is how. But there were a couple where I was like, Shayna. But I will say that the grappling worked really well for this match. Like the aspect of grappling was, in my opinion, it was executed like pretty well. Like I'm not saying it was perfect, but I'm definitely saying that part for MMA style worked. I had more issue with the ref.
Oh.
Well, not for the reason, not for Daryl. It's not Daryl's fault. Daryl, I love you.
Daryl, are you going to be ignorant slut again?
No. But if you're going to choose the way that you chose to end it, which confuses me because I don't know what a TKO is.
That wasn't a TKO.
Then I really don't know what the hell that was, because that made no sense.
What happened
was
they had done this spot multiple times during the match, because really there's only a few things that you can do in these matches.
Yeah.
Because you can't do wrestling moves, really.
Not too much.
Because they did that with...
They can't run the ropes.
Natty and Lola had one of these matches also on NXT.
Yeah.
And it didn't work either, because it was more of a wrestling match. So it's like, okay, well then what are we doing?
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
like,
that's also because Natalya had no business being in that match.
I don't know why they did that with her
whatsoever.
But that didn't make sense either.
Yeah.
This one made a little bit more sense just because
they both had the background.
Well, exactly. But they did this spot where they do like a spinning back fist, which cool move. And they go down, the person goes down, and then they start wailing on them.
Yes.
And it's very clear that they're putting their hands up and like defenseless, right? But in the other times that they did it in the match, they just moved on.
Yeah.
Right? And they moved on to the next spot.
Yeah.
So this time they did it, and for some reason, this particular time, it ended the match. Like, Shayna was not knocked out. Shayna was still moving.
Yes.
And she had her hands up, like protecting her face.
Yes.
And Daryl jumps in and stops the match.
That's why I was so confused, because I was like, okay, because here's the thing, like the other thing that's hard for someone who watches this type of wrestling, not MMA, we expect they're dead. Their whole body has stopped moving. Their head is to the side and their tongue is out. Like they're dead if someone is knocked out. So for me, I was like, wait, I feel like that's also kind of similar with MMA. Like, I guess I'm confused now. Like, I don't know enough.
Right.
But that was really weird. And so I was like, okay, if you were going to choose the UFC ending,
right,
so be it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're going to choose that, I feel like it should have been a UFC ref.
Yeah.
Because then it's like that. It's like a more clear, like concise choice. Like if that's the side you wanted to kind of lean on, that's someone who won the UFC like community knows. Like that's someone we don't know, so we already kind of know. Like, oh, okay, they're leaning this way.
Exposure for TKO.
Exactly.
Right? And yeah, no, I agree with you, and I feel how the ending should have been, if you're going to do worked MMA and you're going to marry these two styles together, it needed to have been Lola does the spinning back fist, Shayna sells it like she actually gets knocked out and falls to the ground. Lola goes to beat on her,
and then they pull
her apart. Versus Shayna getting knocked down, her rolling around trying to protect herself.
Yeah.
And then
turtling is not.
I think it was just too similar to other things that had happened earlier in the match, and it was confusing as to why this is why the match stopped versus how they did it like 2 times before.
Exactly.
I don't know. I just don't know who benefits from a match like this, because Lola Vice has already done multiple matches like this. And
so what's next?
And if you're going to use Shayna and Natty as fodder for her,
yes,
then Lola needs to get a title shot.
Yeah, Lola needs to move up if you guys think she's that important.
Right. And
also,
if she keeps being dominant, because she wins here, which I think Shayna should have won here.
Exactly.
I feel like she should have won here. She has a match at Clash of the Castle. Yeah. For the tag team titles. Right. And which is, as we're recording this weekend, right? So this was the previous week.
Yeah.
She loses in a match that's on pay-per-view. And then a week later, she's going to be on another pay-per-view where she's going for the tag titles. Now, her performance and her losing does not make me think she's winning at all.
Yeah.
So how did this benefit her by losing this match? And I don't know if Lola really gained anything from winning this match either, because she's already won like 3 of these.
And you know what? Oh gosh, I really hope Hunter and Sean, I hope this is not the case, but my brain was like, well, what if they were like, oh, well, most people won't watch the NXT.
No, I don't think that's the case.
I'm hoping not. Maybe that was the cynic in me.
I don't think that there was a lot of thought put into this one. I think it was, we're at the UFC place. We need to do an underground match.
You did that.
You did MMA. You did your picture's on the wall here. So let's go and put you in a match.
Yeah.
I feel like Shayna should have won here. Yes. Lola wouldn't have lost anything by losing, because she's already won so much.
Exactly.
She was already the breakout star. She was in the title picture with Becky Lynch and Lyra.
Yeah.
Right? She's already done a lot. So I just don't feel like anybody really won out of this. And no one comes out of this looking any better.
I will say the knee spot that was there, where she was just tweaking that knee on Shayna, it did look really good. And I was sitting there going, oh, but other than that, there was no other move that made me go, oh, like, man, like, ow, like. And then I got mad. Why did Shayna attack everybody on the side? Did she just Hulk?
Good question.
What was that?
I feel like maybe they were trying to sell it that she had gotten hit so many times that she was confused.
Yeah, like a bull in a china shop.
And who wasn't?
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. She ended up putting someone else in a chokehold.
Yeah.
I was very confused.
I don't know why I put this score, but yeah. What was your score for this?
I gave it a 3.
I had a 3.5, and I have no idea why. I definitely a 3.
Yeah. I feel like it did tell a story, because Shayna hit her knee. Yeah. Because, she was going with the running knee and Lola moved out of the way and she hit the announce table. And they did sell that. And they did, continue that throughout the whole thing.
Oh, that was, I wrote on there, that knee spot, ouch. And I was like, oh, I was thinking originally when she was twerking or tweaking it, but now I know not twerking it. No, that's Red Sexy. When she was tweaking it.
Sexy Red.
Whatever. Words are hard and I don't know who she is. But no, the spot when she ran right into that announce table, that looked like that hurt like a mofo.
Yeah, it probably did.
Oof.
And so they used that throughout the match. They did kind of tell a cohesive story throughout, but she didn't. It would have been better, I think, if she tapped out from it instead of getting knocked out.
Yes.
That would have kind of put a really nice button on the story, but yeah, it's just not my thing.
Like I see like the bits and pieces of where the idea is there. They're just not meshing as well as they thought. And I'm hoping that it can improve somehow, but I'm interested to see if it will.
I'd be interested to see if we do more of these going forward, because we really have only done these in the lead up to a pay-per-view where we were at a UFC place. Yeah. So I wonder if now that we're not going to be at one the next time, are we still going to do these matches?
I'm just imagining suddenly in the middle of a knockout fight that there's just all of a sudden Natty pops up and is trying to wrestle, or somebody like that. They're just trying to get wrestling in the middle of this, and it's Oh gosh, that sounds terrible.
Well, she's never gonna go away. So.
Yeah.
But the next match is for the Men's North American Championship, which was a triple threat between Obafemi, Wesley, and Joe Coffey.
This was a great match.
I loved this one.
This was a great match.
I still don't think Joe Coffey should have been in this, but
I verbatim said it's Green Man.
that's who they are. They're the Green Men.
Green.
I mean, I said this, I think the last time we talked about Obafemi. Dude is insane.
He is the right monster. He's awesome.
I think I heard him described like he's not a Braun Strowman.
Nope.
He's not a Andre. He's not like a Omos. You know, like he's not that type of big.
No.
But he is just a bigger version of a regular size man.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think honestly it's his shoulders. He's just a broad human.
And I like the whole like kind of African king kind of aesthetic that they're going with him.
Yes.
Really works.
The
I feel like
when he comes in.
everybody has just completely gotten behind him.
Yes.
And at first I didn't get it because he came in
so hot.
Yeah, because he won the breakout star.
Yeah.
Right? And so he just comes in, says, I want a title shot, and just takes it off of Wesley, and everyone's devastated. Because you're just like, no, our boy, what happened?
My boy.
And he comes back from this back injury, and I feel like it should be noted that it was a devastating back injury.
Like he should not be even walking.
He barely was.
Yeah.
When he came on TV and he was like, guys, I have to go away for a while. Like, this is really upsetting. He didn't go into complete detail, but it was a very, very bad back injury where he had to have surgery
And deep crying.
yeah, like it
on
was
live television.
super, super sad and emotional. But he comes back in like record time.
What was that? Not even 6 months.
I really don't know
even
the
know.
time frame. It didn't seem like it was that long.
Yeah.
And he comes back, and this is his first match back after injury. And I think it was very wise to put him in a triple threat.
Yes.
I understand the function of Joe Coffey being in there, and I like him. I feel like he is the best one out of Gallus, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is the type of triple threat that I love, because sometimes triple threats can turn into just, okay, we really want a match with these two guys.
Yes.
But we don't want either one of them to look bad if they lose, right?
Yes.
So insert other guy to kind of take the blow.
Yes.
Like with King and Queen of the Ring with Bronson, right? With the
Yes.
triple threat with Sammy and
Yeah.
Chad. It's very evident that that's how that one went, right?
Yeah.
But with this one, they were all three very cohesive, and each one of them, I feel like, got to do their thing.
Yeah.
And got to do their thing with each other. And there was this one spot, Wesley does a flip over the top rope, and Obafemi just catches him on his shoulders.
Yes.
Like his legs legit go on his shoulders, and then he just yeets him onto Joe Coffey.
And he flies. Like, I remember being scared. I was like, his back.
Right.
Like, he took some serious back bumps, and I was like, oh, please.
Well, there's that
Jesus.
one, and then Wesley goes to do a Meteora, and instead of, going back like most people to take the Meteora,
Oh my gosh.
Obafemi is just like, nope, I'm just going to catch you right here. And his shoulders, or his knees, go where his shoulders are, and then he just power slams him.
And then there was another one. He had both Coffey and then Wes, and just went bam and slammed them. This match, after the one in front of it, shows what a good formula is and why it's a good formula. This works for a reason. This works because it was executed correctly. It was the right kind of people. I mean, Joe Coffey, I was impressed. Like, he's got some stuff. I mean, I feel bad. I definitely feel like he's very much the Vince McMahon name. That man was like, oh, you're Irish? Cool. The Irish Coffee.
Oh, sure.
And that's where that came.
Well, because he has a brother that's in Gallus,
Yes.
whose last name is also Coffee.
Okay, well, that's good. That
I don't know if that's their actual last name, but they are actually brothers.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I feel it was just really good.
It was a good match.
Like I do feel
a nice
that
palate cleanse.
Yes, very much so. And I mean, I gave it a 3.5.
Really? I gave it 4.5.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
I really liked it. I was enjoying it, but I think that
I
also
like some of the other ones better than this one.
I think it was also just because it was like, oh, thank God, this was a palate cleanser. This is like a refresh. Mm-hmm. And I think I was just like, yes, this works.
I feel like with the different styles, because you had Wesley, who's definitely a high flyer, fast, flippy shit guy.
Yep.
And then you have Joe Coffey and Obafemi, who are more of the brutes, who are more grounded.
Coffey was the striker, kind of.
Yeah. And then you have Obafemi with the power.
Yeah.
And I feel like having Oba retain is definitely the right choice.
Agreed.
Not only because he's so over, but I feel like this is going to lead to a Wesley Obafemi rematch down the line. And having Coffee take the pin and not Wes, it sets it up for him to be able to do that. Probably like, I think the next one is Heat Wave, which is around SummerSlam time. That could be a good time for them to do that because that's a big weekend.
That's true.
And have Wesley win the title back. I don't know. I think it just kind of depends because since he, had to leave, he didn't vacate it, but he lost it to him. It would be a good story to have him win it back.
And this also is like, we know he's over already just so much just by returning that we can slow burn this and make sure that he's healthy and not push him too hard.
Yeah. And I think this is also another in both the women and the men's North American title can be used in the TNA crossover.
Yes.
Because there's already people who are fantasy booking like Obafemi versus like other TNA people.
Oh, I'm sure.
And, vice versa.
Internet, do your work.
Right. And I will say I am not very familiar with TNA.
I don't know.
There's not a way for me to watch it. So I don't know who is on there. I did after this show. Yeah. Heard of some other people, and I've heard other people that I watch in the wrestling commentary universe.
Yeah.
I've heard them talk about those people and the potential matches. So I think this it could be a good starter for that. But yeah, I gave it a 3.5. I did like it.
Yeah.
But there was, a couple other ones that I just enjoyed more.
Yeah.
Next we have our semi-main, which is the women's championship. In my opinion, should have been the main event.
I mean, yeah.
It was Roxanne Perez, who's the champion, versus Jordynne Grace, who is the TNA Knockouts champion. So it was for the NXT Women's Championship. I feel like Jordynne Grace, after watching this match, because I'm be for real, I have not seen any of her matches up until this point. I just know of her because guys, if you have not seen this woman, please look it up.
Googly.
Like, she not only is gorgeous, but she is jacked, like bodybuilder jacked, like, and such a good wrestler.
Yes.
Like someone who came from the bodybuilding world that gets it. And she's so quick and fast for someone of her size. And she works so well with Roxanne, who is so tiny. Literally the size of my pinky.
Just little baby.
But I feel like this brought out such a good side of Roxanne. I think Roxanne's great.
Yeah.
I think she's definitely the best in the women's division by far.
Strongest as a heel match.
She's getting it. She's starting to get it.
It's clicking.
And in these video packages that she did leading up to this, I think she's there.
I mean, she was there. I think she needed the extra push. This was the extra push.
Well, because this was a person that was actually a threat.
Look,
like I love the women in this division.
Yeah.
They have not been built up as a threat.
This was also more of like, there is no other way we can spend this. This woman is a freaking monument. Like, she's massive. She's built like, gosh, y'all, her traps, gracious. Like, holy, but she's amazing. But I mean, she originally, that wasn't even her like body physique that she started with. She was more curvaceous. She was a big booty girl. Mm-hmm. And then she chose to enter into those contests and enter the world of bodybuilding. And I know she's happy, and it's not my like choice as a person for my lifestyle, because I like wine and I like cheese and I like bread. But she looks fantastic.
She don't do nothing fun.
She doesn't. I literally sat there. I was like, she don't even drink like vodka. Like there's nothing she has. Like, I know she doesn't have anything. Like,
yeah, no ounce of body fat on that woman at all.
Nothing.
Which, and I know we're talking a lot about her appearance, and I don't mean to, but
no,
it's that's not what she's all about.
No, of course not.
She's
a talented,
and I
wrestler.
think that's what I'm trying to get across, is that I have never sat there and watched a female wrestler and just been in awe.
Yeah.
And just like, how are you doing this?
Like, she's so badass.
Yeah, like, she's just great. And I really hope that she is going to be kind of the mainstay in this TNA crossover.
Yeah.
Like, I really hope that she does more on NXT TV. I feel like there could be a rematch to this.
Yeah.
I truly do, especially with the way that it ended.
Roxanne's going to go over there and just screw around in TNA. I can already smell that.
I'd be fine with that, to be honest. I feel like their women's division is great.
I've heard that it's pretty
right.
dope.
It is one of the best in the wrestling business outside of, I feel like, the WWE women's roster. But yeah, I really feel like she could be a really good go-between. And I understand, because the only thing that really kind of soured on this match for me was the finish. I didn't understand why there needed, like, I do understand why there needed to be interference, because what you're doing is you are introducing new people that people don't understand who they are, and you're trying to reintroduce those people into the fray, so that way they'll be like, oh, that person looks interesting, let me go over to TNA and let me watch it. But the way that they did it, the match itself was so strong, right? Because basically they were just countering each other the entire time. Yeah. Like, there wasn't a time, I don't feel like, that one was over the other.
No, they were
this match.
neck and neck.
Right. So you have that intensity, and then for the way for Jordan to lose it is by distraction. Yeah. To me, I feel like undercuts it slightly.
It kind of pooped on her a little bit.
Because she's so powerful. Yeah. And then how you have her do this, you had Tatum Paxley, who has been kind of like the Gollum character in the background of all of this, being like, I want the gold. I want all the precious, right? And she has been obsessed with getting some type of title, right? Because that's why she aligned herself with Lyra, because she was going to eventually turn on her and take the gold, right? And then now with Roxanne, she's kind of following her, honestly, like a Gollum character in the background of all of her shots, being like, you know, which I'm
deep breathing, scary.
I'm here for a creepy character. Yeah. You know, I'm here for the like overly obsessed. I know Tommaso Ciampa did a really good job with that when he, you know, was in the run for the title, for NXT title. He called it Goldie, right? And he was obsessed with it, and he clutched it everywhere he went. Like, it can work. Yeah.
I mean, Roxanne does a little bit of it too.
She does.
Like, she whispers to it and strokes it.
I feel like it's just a fun thing that they have all adapted. Like, if you're a heel, like, you are just obsessed with keeping it, and you act like you sleep with it at night, and like, you know, it has its own little bed next to yours, and, you know, all that. Yeah. But with this, you had Tatum, who's been in the background, who's been kind of following around, and she's been interacting with Jordan the same way. Yeah. And she comes out during the match, and she kind of prances over to where the titles are being held during the match. She first goes towards Roxanne's for the NXT title. Then she's like, that's not shiny enough. Goes over to the Knockouts title and takes it. And scurries away with it. Yeah. And of course that distracts Jordan and gets her out of the ring. She's going over to get it. And before she can go get it, Ash.
I'm glad you wrote that, because I literally went, Vic Joseph.
Ash by excellence.
I was like,
And I'm like, first off,
no,
that was on purpose. He did that on purpose. It's like
really?
It's like how he did with wasn't he in AEO? He did that before already. Damn. No, that's kind of become his thing.
Okay, all right, Vic. Because I was ready to have you be ignorant slut. I might need to rethink that.
No, that was definitely on purpose because if he didn't say that,
we wouldn't have.
Would you have known that was Dana Brooke? No, you wouldn't have. Who the hell is Ash by Excellence? Nobody knows who that is, right?
Wait a minute. I'm so sorry. I'm so dumb. That actually is Dana Brooke.
It is Dana Brooke.
Son of a bitch.
Yes.
I just thought he was like, oh, that's a blonde woman that is nondescript.
No, but if he did not do that, would you have known that was the former Dana
Clearly
Brooke?
not, because I didn't know.
That's why he did it.
That's so funny.
That's why he did it. Because I swear, and this is not a knock on anyone who wants to get plastic surgery, who wants to change their appearance. I'm not saying that. But every time that woman comes on TV, she looks different.
Gosh.
And
I mean,
I did not recognize her. And also, Ash by Excellence, I don't like that name.
No.
What is that?
I was hearing Lash.
Yeah.
But that's just me, my brain.
And maybe that's something in TNA that I am just not familiar with. And maybe since being released from WWE and she has gone over to TNA, maybe she has established herself over there.
Yeah.
But I think they were expecting her to get some sort of pop, and it didn't happen.
Yeah.
The crowd was so confused on who this person was. And if you were not watching at home, you didn't get to hear the commentary almost say Dana Brooke.
Yeah.
So if you were in that audience, you probably wouldn't have known who that person was.
Oh my gosh.
Unless you watched TNA.
Yeah.
Right? And she probably, the reason why she's there is probably because she's maybe feuding with Jordan.
Yeah.
On TNA TV. So basically, she comes out, attacks Tatum, and tries to take the title.
Yep.
And then Jordan ends up getting the title and hits both of them with it.
Brings it back.
Then when she gets back in the ring, Roxanne hits the pop rocks, and then she's done. I feel like I know what they were trying to do. Mm-hmm. You're trying to establish, okay, Tatum is probably going to be involved over in TNA. Yeah. Right? And you're trying to establish this storyline that is going to eventually happen. Mm-hmm. I just hate it had to come at the expense of Jordan and Roxanne's match, because it was so good.
Yeah. Also, we haven't talked about the elephant in the room in this match. Can we talk about how this woman's earring was ripped out of her ear and was then stuck in Roxanne Perez's leg for 3/4 of the match?
Yes, it did happen.
Holy shit. I was staring at it the whole time being like, what happened? And then I went back and was like going through my brain. I was like, the running knee. Mm-hmm. The running knee snagged her earring, ripped it out of her ear, and then got stuck in her thigh. I don't think it was in her physical flesh. I think it was in the layers of the different like tights she had on. But that's really impressive.
Commitment
to continue to. I would have been like screaming, crying, like I want to go home. But neither of them flinched. They were like, let's keep going. Speaking
from experience of being injured in the middle of a show.
Oh my gosh.
Because that happened to me. I was doing summer stock in Kings Mountain, North Carolina.
Hey-o.
And I was doing this show that was a Revolutionary War reenactment. And it was a great show. And in the latter part of the show, there is a huge battle that's very choreographed. And I'm running from one end of the stage to the other. And then I'm coming up the back and coming up the front. And there's a lot of different moving parts. And I run off stage and I run knee first into a stationary set piece.
Yep.
And my leg just gives out.
Yep.
And I can't bend it. I don't know what's wrong with it. Mm-hmm. This is in the middle of the battle. The battle was definitely nowhere near over. And I have 5 other things I have to do before this battle scene's over.
Yes.
Your adrenaline just kicks in and you just keep going.
You keep going, yeah.
And it doesn't kick into you that something is terribly wrong until you sit down.
That's fair. That's fair.
So I feel like in this situation, because I have never had that happen to me. I have had something similar happen. I went on a roller coaster and wore earrings like a dum-dum. And
like long ones?
Studs.
Oh.
And the back part, my head hit the headrest, and it literally, my neck started bleeding because it hit that vein right here. And I didn't feel it. And the person I was with at the time was on a high school trip. And the guy that was in the car with me looks over, and I'm just bleeding profusely from my neck. And he is just like, "Oh my God, you're dying.
Holy crap. I would have been
wrong
like that.
with you?" And yeah, that was very, but it doesn't take much is what I mean. Cause this cartilage up here is really thin. So that doesn't mean it doesn't hurt like hell if it did get ripped out of your ear like that. I'm just shocked that you were bold enough to even wear jewelry during this match.
That was the other thing I was thinking. Cause I was like, cause sometimes I look at some of the women's gear and I go, okay, there's a lot of straps. There's a lot of different pieces.
Buckles
like
and
even
things.
landing on that, my brain is like, ow. But never. I remember one time I freaked out in the car on the way to soccer as a kid because I had just got my ears pierced and I didn't put that into consideration. And my mom didn't either. And so we had to borrow tape because I was like, it's got to be ripped out. Because I have actually seen that happen on the soccer field.
Oh, yeah.
I have watched a girl's like whole earlobe like rip in half. And I was like, oh.
That's what happened here.
Yeah.
And I mean, just all of a sudden, the whole side of her face was bloody.
Yeah.
And
then Roxanne's thighs and like all
the
the
whole
rest of
mat
her.
and everything.
Oh my gosh.
Now, I mean, compared to other, matches we've seen in AEW with Jon Moxley, like this was definitely not as
this just wasn't where
as
we
bloody.
expected the blood.
Not at all. Especially, I mean, because you could see it. You could see where it had clearly been ripped out of her ear. And just keeps going. But that's what you do, right? Like, especially with these women, like, you don't stop.
And it was so early in the match, too. Mm-hmm. There was no way.
Yeah.
So kudos to both of them.
I gave this a 4.5.
I gave it a solid. I literally wrote, would have given it a 5 if it wasn't for interference.
Yeah. Was it for Dana? I mean, Ash by excellence.
I mean, man. So we're here. We're at the final.
Yeah. So we have the NXT Championship match with Trick Williams versus All Ego Ethan Page.
I didn't write a single thing.
Yeah.
I was so into this.
Oh, you were really into it?
I was surprised at Ethan, but to be fair, also my iPad was dying near the end.
Sure.
And so I was like, I'll just save the battery. But I'm surprised. And I guess it was more so I was thinking AEW brain, but I had Ethan winning it. I picked that because I was like, if they're already going to put him in this situation, like first match out the gate, it kind of made me go, oh man.
So the story behind this one was Ethan Page literally showed up a week before the pay-per-view.
Yeah, 5 days
as a free agent.
Yeah.
And this wasn't the other Vic Joseph. Didn't we just see him on AE? And then Booker goes, whoa. Hold on a second. Which I don't mind those.
No, those I think that's a little stick it to the man because Hunter does not seem to like that.
We are in an age where we can't just ignore that other promotions exist.
No.
Right? If you're going to acknowledge this one over here, this one being TNA, if you're going to acknowledge that one and you're going to acknowledge New Japan, right? And you're going to have some sort of a working relationship with them. You don't have to have a working relationship with AEW, but you have to acknowledge that it exists.
Yes.
And you have to acknowledge that it's your number one competition. So
there's nothing wrong with competition.
There isn't. And if anything, it breeds excellence, right? Yes. So by saying that, I feel like that is a subtle jab at okay, we are acknowledging, this is our way of acknowledging that this person over here exists.
Yes.
And I like it.
I
feel like it's a step in the right direction. I don't think I need to go full WCW on the shit and completely call them out. I don't think that's necessary.
Oh God.
But exactly. I don't think that's necessary. But with this match, I kind of disagree with you a little bit.
Yeah.
Just because even when he was in AEW, I don't think I've ever fully gotten Ethan Page.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is I'm not saying that he's bad and that he's not a good wrestler.
But
I've never gotten behind him.
That's fair.
I don't understand why I should necessarily want him to win, you know? And that's why I watch, right? Like, and that's I don't want to say I'm a casual fan. I think I'm past that point.
Yeah,
but
no,
like,
I think I'm not even in that category anymore.
we host an entire show about it. I think
sure
we're
do.
not categorized as
I started
casual
that way,
fans.
but I'm not anymore.
Right, and you're welcome for that,
Yes,
I guess.
thank you. Thank you.
You are better for it.
I think I am.
And I feel like watching him in AEW, I wanted him to succeed, right? Because I'm like, you are good. Mm-hmm. You're a natural talent. I just feel like all you do is, in your promos, is you just scream and you say, I deserve this.
It should have been me.
Yeah, you're Dolph Ziggler and all over this shit, right? And
I didn't think of it that way. That's
and
kind of...
I'm like, okay, we're in another promotion. Maybe we can do Alexis King and we can kind of go a different route here.
Yeah.
But no, we're still yelling at the camera that it should have been me and that I deserve to be here and I deserve a title shot after signing a contract and
because I
for
exist.
5 days because I'm here.
Yeah.
Right. And that's fine for a heel character, but there's no dimension to that for me. The only motivation that you're telling me that you deserve this is that you are here.
Yeah, and you think you're that...
That's not good enough for me,
Yeah.
right? There's no other story behind that.
Because, Lord, there are some other people who are there.
Right.
Who don't need to be there.
Yeah. And I think that putting him in this position, I did not think he was going to win. Yeah. Just because, one, Trick is so over. He may not be as good in the ring as Ethan, which I don't think he is. Yeah. I love him, but I don't think he is.
Both of these people they're good in the ring. They're not the best, but they are charismatic on the mic.
But you would be really dumb to not keep the belt on Trick right now. I mean, if that shaking camera shot that they love to replay all the time tells you anything, he is over, right?
I mean, Booker T sings with his song. Like, I mean, that man, like, pretends to not give shits about anything. And he is still like, yes. Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
It annoys the shit out of me, but it's fine. I feel like it's not like I didn't enjoy it. Mm-hmm. I thought it was a fine match. Yeah. It did not wow me as much as the women's did.
Yes. I would be fine with switching them.
And also the way that this ended didn't interest me at all either.
I forgot about the ending.
So the way that this ended was, Ethan has him in the corner and the ref is counting to 5 and is pulling him back and is like, dude, you're going to get disqualified.
Yes.
And then he's like, basically, fuck you, and goes back and does it again. Yeah. And he pulls him back, and Ethan is arguing with the ref. And with that, it has enough of a distraction for Trick to hit the Trick shot. Yeah. And then Trick wins. I don't see how that's a strong finish for anybody.
No, I think...
Because Trick does not win clean.
And then that
and he's the face.
That like, sows a little seed of like, oh, like, wait a minute. Whose side are we on? We're like always on Tricks, but wait a minute. This is...
I think maybe what they were going for is that like, oh, you're hubris type of ending. Like, right. Like
Icarus.
You're the one that did this to yourself because you were too distracted with arguing with the ref because he wanted to DQ you because you were trying to knock him out.
He should have just DQ'd him.
I would have been more mad if that happened.
I mean, true. But if it's like, don't do that.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, guys.
It was very played up. It was very much like we are waiting for Trick to hit his spot.
This isn't you, Seth.
But it was clear that there were certain moments that, like, Ethan was kind of the ringleader of the match, which to me, if you have a champion, like, it's kind of like in the Roman age.
Yeah.
Right? Where you had everybody else who was with him were the ring general. He was never the ring general of any match, right? So, like, in most of his matches, I won't say all of them, but, like, you could tell that, like, that person was trying to elevate him, right? Yeah. And I feel like that's what was happening in this situation. And I don't know. It didn't work for me.
Yeah.
And I found it fun, but I also just don't have much to, like, say about it. And for me, if I have more to say about the women's match than I do about the men's, then that one clearly, in my opinion, deserves.
I would not have minded if they had switched places.
Now,
Like
if they would have switched, they needed to have fixed that finish of that match too.
That would have been. Oh, we
That
would have
would've
been
been-
bishing and
That would have
moaning.
been not a fun one to end on either.
Oh.
But, Trick wins. He retains, which I feel like is still the right move.
Yes.
I just feel like he should have maybe won in a more decisive fashion.
And I think with it both being distractions back to back, I think that also just kind of left a
Yeah.
feeling.
Because it's like, you guys didn't discuss your finishes in the back. Did you not realize that both of them were going to be
Like back to
distraction
back?
finishes?
Yeah.
And-
Kind of lazy.
Yeah, I agree. And, Sexy Red comes out at the end, and
Red Sexy?
Red Sexy comes out, the alter ego of Sexy Red.
She's twerking too, though.
But she's really nice, though. Like, she doesn't get in fights at airports.
I mean, she was really nice. Like, hi, Trick.
She was trying to take the title, though. Did you notice that?
Oh, my gosh. Did she really?
So she was,
Lord have
they were in
mercy,
the
lady.
middle of the ring, and she was dancing and twerking, and he was like, okay, cool, awesome. And she's holding up the title with him in the center, and he's like for it in the beginning. But
And
then
then-
she kind of holds on too long, right? And doesn't let go. And then he literally, you can see him whisper like, hey, I got to go over there to like go to the corner. She's like, okay, you do you. And is like clapping for him. And I'll give it to her. I think she got caught up in the moment.
I think she didn't even realize.
No. And she's like, oh,
She's
yeah.
not of this world.
There are spots that they need to hit before we
Yes.
are over. Like,
She got in the music. Whoa.
because he has to get in the corner and pose with the title and, all that.
Things to do.
But yeah, I mean, I did enjoy this show. I think there were certain aspects of certain matches I didn't like necessarily. But I think it did further some story, and that's kind of what a B show pay-per-view is supposed to do.
Yeah, I agree. This is a B show. Definitely.
I really hope they don't come back to this arena. It was too small for me, especially during that ladder match. There were some spots that made me really nervous.
Yeah, Lord. The lash. Oh my gosh, that lash spot.
They were very close to the announce table and the stairs.
They sure didn't hold back saying that. They're like, we're awful close.
Their dynamic is so funny to me.
It is so funny.
Like during that first match, and Booker apparently did not listen to him and move out of the way like he was supposed to. He straight up goes, I told you to get out of the way. You didn't listen to me. I told you.
Funny. I'm just like, y'all are just like arguing little biddies. Like,
Yeah, they're like little brothers.
oh
like
my gosh.
bickering with each other.
I love it. I love both of them. I do.
Booker's growing on me. There's some moments where I'm like, what?
I'm
What did
wondering
you
if
just
he's
say?
not as involved with the drugs.
I was about to say substances.
I was like, there's no other way to put this but drugs.
Yeah. But yeah, I gave the whole thing a 3.5.
That's a fair. Yeah,
just
3.5.
it wasn't stellar, but it wasn't awful.
Yes.
And I feel like the past couple of ones have been like that. I really hope Heat Wave is going to be, it's the one that goes with SummerSlam. Like I'm really hoping that they can kind of build up, because the past couple ones have been kind of like middle of the road, like still fun to watch, but like, because you got some good talent.
Yeah.
So
you've got, there's a lot of options, and I feel like it would be stupid if they didn't pick some of them.
yeah. Are you ready for segment time?
Yes, but I might have to rethink my ignorance.
I will go first if you want me to.
Yes, please.
I will say, because I'm going to go abstract on this one. Usually I do a person. I would say my ignorant slut is not having Shayna win. I stand by that. I really feel like that she should have won.
I feel the same way.
It does not do her any favors for her to have another loss under her belt when she has a tag title match on a main roster pay-per-view the following week for the tag titles. Like, it just does not serve her at all. And I feel like that they should have taken that into consideration, because Lola really wouldn't have lost much by losing here.
Yeah.
I feel like that was really the only or not the only misstep, but the biggest misstep on this show was having her lose.
I remember in the match kept saying to Robert, being like, man, I know I picked Lola, but like I really want Shayna to win. Like,
I did too. I was cheering for Shayna the whole time, because we're finally back to brutal Shayna Baszler that we were in the first NXT
but
round.
the safe
Yeah.
brutal.
Exactly.
Not the oh shit, that arm might have popped out a little bit.
I will say she was pretty good at keeping people safe.
Yes.
She wasn't on the level of Rhonda.
Not Rhonda. No, dear God,
Shayna
no.
was actually really safe and took people
That's-
into consideration.
Because they're people.
Because they're people. But yeah, just not having her lose was just a really ignorant slut move.
You know what? I'm going to go in the same vein, and I'm going to say having Mishan take the pin. That's an extra FU to her. Especially the whole time, all the promos she has cut have been like, I am the queen of these ladder matches. I am the one who has been doing this for forever. She's the veteran who's been out there. And to have her take the pin when there were a lot of new people, like, I'm not saying like anyone deserved to take the pin. If it was my way, I would say Fallon Henley should have taken that pin.
Yeah, that would have made sense. Her or Jada
Parker,
either one,
too.
would have made sense.
Yeah.
I guess you telegraph your own spots, right? If you say that you're the queen of the ladder matches.
Yeah, it's like, but I mean, she's
she didn't technically take a pin, right?
Yeah, no,
it was just the last move before Kalani went up to get the belt.
It was just kind of like, ugh. Yeah.
I get that though.
But I mean, out of all of them, like, I can't say there's like a person that was like sucked.
No,
there wasn't anyone that sucked. There wasn't any like immediate thing that was like, oh my gosh, this was like the worst. But I think it's kind of shitty that they keep just crapping on Michin. And
I mean, the fact that she is now Michin, I think,
still hasn't
explains
changed
it
her
all.
name back. Like, oh my God, like, come on, guys. Like,
Mia Yim is such a cool name.
Mia Yim was perfectly fine. It was great. And anyway, so I guess I'll go with that. That's my ignorance look.
I like that.
Yeah.
So my EST is Jordan Grace.
We are in agreement.
I mean, I don't see how it could be anybody else.
She's just so cool.
I love her. That's all I'm going to say about that.
I think we nailed it with our conversation about her earlier. Like, she's awesome. She's so good. She's so talented. She just looks like, I mean, her hugs would be a little bit like,
they would hurt.
They would hurt a little bit, but it still would be like nice. She just looks like you could go and hang out with her and it would be really fun. But then she would whoop your ass and
sure. Yeah. Well, that's why I would want to keep her with me.
Yeah. She's going to be on our side because
anybody bothered me.
Yeah, no, we're not on her bad side.
Right.
But no, she's really good. She's really good, y'all. Like,
I hope that they include her more in stuff or either just make TNA easier to access so I can watch it. But yeah, I think this will lead to cool stuff. I really hope it does. I hope this wasn't just a one-off thing. And from reports that I've heard, it doesn't sound like it is.
That's good.
So I'm excited to see more crossover stuff if it happens. I know the next NXT show is Heatwave, which is in August. But I know we have Clash at the Castle Scotland coming up. And Forbidden Door is also coming up at the end of this month.
Oh, I love Forbidden Door.
You like Forbidden Door for sentimental reasons.
It is a great sentimental
because your wrestling husband debuted.
And I was right.
You were right.
That's also a little bit of it where I'm like, I was right.
That's true. But yeah, David, what else do we have going on?
Oh, not much. What about you?
I pretty much said it all.
mean, I can think of one
I always like to check in with you,
I know.
see how you're doing.
Well, on the podcast front, this is pretty much 100% a wrestling podcast now. We haven't done a fucking long walk talk since
You're welcome.
November.
This is a takeover, baby.
And, for a while, it's because Stan was in Africa. He's back now. Really, what I need to do, I feel like, to get us back on track is I need to stop staring at the pile of lumber behind Gina right now and get in here and finish this damn recording booth.
Yeah.
So that I can get us back in here and recording again. Because I don't mind recording for you guys and Robert and Chris, but when it comes to time to do my own, I'm just looking at the interior of that sound booth and I'm like, God, I still have to do this and I need to do this. So anyway, we got that, but we also got another Free Reign Theater production coming up in August. I am directing William Shakespeare's The Tempest.
I'm so excited because this will be my first show back in I want to say like 2 or 3 years.
I think the last one you were in, They Fight, in 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last time that Free Reign Theater did They Fight, which is our fight compilation show, one of my favorite shows I think I've ever done. Honestly, it's such a fun show. Yeah, I decided to take a break and step back and, you know, have my baby. And yeah, I'm very excited. I'm excited to work with David again and just kind of get back out there. But yeah, it's The Tempest.
Woo!
I'm very excited. It's one of my least familiar Shakespeare shows, but it'll be really fun. I'm excited.
Yes.
Yeah, so we got Shelby in it. We got Gina costuming.
Yay!
We've got Robert, the Distinguished Gentleman Bradford, host of This Is a Work, in it as well, playing Caliban. So if you are in the Rock Hill, Charlotte, upstate South Carolina area, you should come check it out. Middle 2 weekends of August. Go to freereigntheater.com.
Absolutely. And we can also use this platform to promote more stuff like
Absolutely.
that, you know, because I know we have listeners in the area.
Yes.
And I mean, we are all a part of this theater company, you know, in some way, shape, or form. And we love local theater. We love promoting it and, you know, just getting out there and just supporting the arts because they're important.
They are extremely important.
So that's going to be my next 2 months of my life.
Absolutely.
I recently had I won't go into too many details, but I had a scene that we are doing for the Arts Council at the end of the month kind of dropped in my lap as well. So now
fun.
I'm directing that as well.
All right.
So it's going to be like nonstop from here until the end of August. But other than that, Shelby, if people want to reach out to you online or follow you online, where can they do that at?
Well, you can do that on Instagram at SlayAllRay. I will warn you, my baby is about to turn 1 in a week, so it's just going to be flooded with pictures of her. So unless you don't want to see that, then you probably don't want to follow me.
Then you have a heart of stone. She's beautiful.
She's gorgeous. But yeah, if you want to follow me, if you want to get in touch with me at all, you can do it there at SlayAllRay.
And Gina, what about you?
The same. It's Instagram. Mine is Broadway_baby1218. And yeah, I haven't posted any pictures in a while, but I'm there. I'm there.
You always
I'm
say
more
you're
on the real side of life.
Yeah, you always say you're taking a break, and then the next day you send me a meme of a possum. So
Yeah.
Oh, I said on the last episode of this show that I was taking a break, and then her birthday party happened.
Yeah.
Right? So I feel like that's kind of the cycle that everybody's in. It's like you say you want to break, and then
Yeah.
oh, but I want to see that awesome recipe that I saved. And then you get into like what other recipes that they have.
Man,
and,
I have so many recipes. Lord have mercy.
you keep trying to get out, and they pull you back in.
Always.
Well, if you want to follow me online, the best place to do that is on Instagram at DBHensley. If you want to keep up with the Long Walk Productions, you can visit us online at longwalk.us. To see more of our original work or hear past episodes that are no longer streaming, you can follow the YouTube links in the show notes. Thank you very much for listening, and if you enjoy this show or any of the shows in the Long Walk Podcast Network, please make sure to leave us a rating and a review on whatever platform you're listening on.
Thank you, David. And thank you guys so much for listening. For This Is a Takeover, I'm Shelby Ray Patterson.
And I'm Gina Bradford.
And you don't have to be called up to the main roster. You're doing fine where you're at.